Hello everybody, Avion Solar here, and today I'm going to be talking about how to interview suspects as a member of the Los Santos Police Service on Roleplay UK's 5M server. Now, in the past we've not offered any training in regards to how to interview suspects, but with recent policy changes it has become clear that such training needs to be created, and as such today I'm going to be talking to you about how to interview suspects using the peace model, as well as what an officer is legally obligated to inform a suspect at the beginning of an interview. So let us start with the legal stuff. When starting an interview, an officer must state the time, date, and where the interview is taking place. They should introduce themselves along with any other police officers in the room. The suspect should then be allowed to introduce themselves, and anyone else in the room should also introduce themselves. For example, the suspect's solicitor would introduce themselves as the suspect's legal representation. If anyone enters the room during the interview, they should also introduce themselves and why they are there. The officer needs to inform the suspect why they are being interviewed and read the when questioned caution to them. They also need to be informed that they have the right to free legal advice, and if they want to consult their solicitor or they want a solicitor contacting, the interview will be stopped while the consultation takes place or while a solicitor is contacted. Finally, the suspect needs to be informed that the interview has been recorded and they have a right to a copy of the interview record. All this legal stuff will be covered when the officer goes through the explain and engage section of the peace model, which we will cover in a minute. And to aid officers remember the legal side of things, I've created a crib sheet, and a link for that can be found in the description below. Now let us talk about the peace model. Step 1 in the peace model is planning and preparation. Now in this stage, an officer should plan the interview and what they want to ask the suspect. When doing this, the officer should look at the offences the suspect is accused of and what the points to prove are for that offence, as well as consider what other questions might need to put to the suspect, for example, around evidence. The second stage of the peace model is where an officer should explain to the suspect the purpose of the interview, what sort of questions will be asked of them, and what the interview is going to be recorded. In the account section of the peace process, an officer should ask questions of the suspect. The officer should initially start with nice open questions such as, tell me what you were doing earlier today, talk to me about the allegations, explain to me why, and so on. This allows the suspect to give a full and free account of what has happened. The officer should allow the suspect to respond and not interrupt them while doing so. Once the suspect has given their account, more closed questions should be asked to try and get more detail and clarification from the account, such as, where were you at this time? What colour car were you in? Who were you with? For closed questions, it's worth considering the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why, and how. Once an officer is happy that a full account from the suspect has been given, they should challenge any parts they believe to be inaccurate by putting evidence to them, such as, okay, so at this time you said you were at home, however, this CCTV image shows you were at Noble Stores. Will you care to explain that? In this way, we put evidence to suspects and give them a chance to correct any inaccuracies in their account. The fourth step in the interview is a closure section. In this section, the officer should sum up what the suspect has said back to them and make sure it is accurate. If there are any inaccuracies, these should be addressed. The interviewer should then ask the suspect if there is anything more they wish to say before ending the interview. The final section of the peace model is evaluate. Once the interview is over, the officer should evaluate the information that has been gained and look what steps need to be taken after the interview. Here's an example interview I conducted. It is by no means perfect and there are areas for improvement. However, it will give you a good idea of how the piece model can be used. If you want to take a seat for us, mate. Okie dokie. So you've been in a police interview before?
No.
Okay, so what's going to happen is I'm going to put the cassette in the recorder. I'll start recording then. I will introduce myself. I will then give you a chance to introduce yourself. I'll explain why we're here and I'll ask you questions about why you're in the police station as well as anything else that comes up that might be relevant. Do you understand that?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll just put the cassette in now. The time is 1700 hours on the 14th of October 2022. I am Police Chief Inspector 1384 Avion Solar of the Los Santos Police Service, currently based at Vespucci Police Station. This interview is being recorded and a copy of this recording may be used should your case go to trial. Have your name for the record, please, sir?
Ren Amamiya.
Okay, Mr. Amir. Today I'm going to be interviewing you on suspicion of impersonating a police officer as well as burglary. Now, before I can discuss this with you, I've got to caution you. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something that you later on in court. Anything that you do say may be given evidence. Understand that?
Yes.
At the end of this interview, I'll explain to you how you can get a copy of the interview recordings for your records, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Whilst in the interview, you do have the right to have a solicitor present. You've chosen not to exercise this right, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm good with that one.
Okay. Mind me asking why you don't want a solicitor?
I just don't feel the need for one. You know, I'm happy to be completely honest, and you know, I feel I can take it on myself.
Okay. If at any point you decide you want a solicitor, let me know. I will stop the recording and we'll contact a solicitor for you, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, talk to what was happening earlier today when you were in the police station.
I mean, so I went up to the the clipboard up at the desk to pay off some tickets. I noticed the door unlocked, and I'm sure you can see on my PNC. I've walked to up of mine. I like walking around the station observing officers doing what they're doing. Yeah. So when I see an unlocked door, I walk through it. Yeah. And then eventually, you stop me. Yeah.
Okay, so explain to why you decided to walk through the unlocked door and walk around the police station.
I mean, policing's just always interested me. Like, I can't be an officer myself due to my past actions. However, I like observing them in the, place of work.
Hmm? Okay. So just to clarify, the door was already open when you got to it, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, do you have anything to do with the door being open?
No.
Okay. Talk about what you said when I approached you.
Uh, I can't fully remember. I mean, I gave you my ID. Uh, yeah, and I did try to play it off as if I was an officer. But yes.
Why did you tell me that you were a police officer?
I mean, I was just trying to spend more time observing officers in their place of work, rather than being like ushered out.
Okay. Well, searching on the police national computer, why did you run off?
You would have noticed that I wasn't in fact an officer. Uh, yeah.
Okay, so you are aware that it's an offence to impersonate an officer, is that correct?
Yes. However, I was unaware that what I was doing was impersonating an officer.
Do you not consider saying that you are a police officer impersonating an officer?
Looking back on it, I realize how it is, but my previous thinking was as long as I'm not pretending to be a pre-existing one, it's not, you know, yeah,
Would saying you're a police officer not count as pretending you're an officer?
yeah. I see how it would, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. So, just to clarify some things, though. You were paying your tickets to the front desk of Mission Roleplay station. You noticed the door was unlocked. You decided you were going to walk through the police station to observe what officers were doing inside it. When approached by myself, you showed me your identification, and you said you're a police officer. And whilst I was looking at PC, you realised I would figure out that you weren't a police officer, so that's why you ran off and were later arrested. Is that an accurate
Yes.
summary of what's been said and what's happened?
Sorry, what was that? Your voice box cut
Sorry, is
out.
that an accurate summary of what's happened?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okie dokie. So, what's going to happen today is I intend to report you for the question of prosecution for impersonating a police officer. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention now something that you later on in court. Anything that you do say may gain evidence. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Is there anything further you wish to add or say in your defence?
No, I'm good.
Okay, time is 17:05. I'm concluding this interview. If you want to learn more about the Pierce model, I'll put some useful links in the description below. I thank you very much for watching and hope you found this useful. And as always, I hope you have a very nice day.